All right, let's get right into it. If you've ever told yourself, okay, this is the year I'm going to become a reader, only to find yourself, I don't know, 2 weeks later, right back on your phone, this one's for you. We are going to break down a super practical, simple system to build a real reading habit that actually sticks. And here's the key, it doesn't rely on willpower. Does this sound familiar? You go out, you buy the book, you set this big, ambitious goal. I'm going to read 30 pages a day. And for a little while, it works. But then life happens. That motivation just fizzles out. It's an incredibly common and honestly frustrating cycle. But what if I told you the problem isn't you?
And this right here is the core idea we're going to unpack. Failing to build a reading habit. It's not some kind of moral failing. It doesn't mean you lack discipline. The issue, almost always, is just a flaw in the approach itself. We're fighting the completely wrong battle.
So let's play doctor for a second. Let's diagnose this. It turns out there are two kind of hidden antagonists that consistently sabotage our best intentions to read more. Once you see them, you can't unsee them, and that is the first real step to finally fixing the problem.
Okay, reason number one. For years, day in and day out, our brains have basically been rewired by digital media. We've trained them to expect constant, high-level stimulus. We're talking bright colors, motion, sound, a new idea hitting you every few seconds. So when you try to switch from that world to a quiet book, it can feel like trying to eat sand. It feels like work because our brains have literally forgotten how to operate in the quiet. And this slide just lays it out so perfectly, right? On one side, you've got your brain, which is primed and ready for a Michael Bay movie. Constant novelty, instant little dopamine hits. And on the other side, you've got a book. Black text on a white page asking for quiet, deep focus. It's a total mismatch. It's no wonder they feel like they're from completely different planets. And here it is, the second killer of our reading habits. We treat reading like it's mental kale, something we should do to be a better, smarter person. But you know what happens the second anything becomes a chore? The joy just evaporates. A habit that's built on a foundation of should is so fragile, and it's always the very first thing we drop when life gets even a little bit busy. Okay, so if grinding it out with willpower doesn't work, and guilting ourselves into it doesn't work, what does? Well, this brings us to the big turning point. There's a single, incredibly powerful principle that makes this entire system just click. This is it. This is the entire game right here. As humans, we are fundamentally wired to follow the path of least resistance. Think about it. You don't pick up your phone 150 times a day because it's the most fulfilling, soul-enriching option available. No way. You do it because it's the easiest option. It's right there. It's always on. It takes zero effort. And this is the light bulb moment. The goal is not to find more time in your day or to magically summon more discipline from thin air. The goal is to redesign your environment so that in those little pockets of wasted time, waiting for the coffee to brew, standing in line, the 5 minutes before a Zoom call starts, picking up a book is actually easier than opening Instagram. All right, let's get into the how-to, the nuts and bolts, because this isn't some system designed for a monk on a silent retreat, right? This is for busy people living in the real, noisy, distracting world. Here are 6 practical actions to make it all happen. So we're going to walk through these, but you can probably already see the theme. Every single one of these steps is designed around one thing, reducing friction and jacking up the reward. This is all about making reading feel effortless and enjoyable, not just another task to check off your to-do list. Step 1 is all about changing the battlefield. Instead of your phone being the first thing you grab from your nightstand, there's a physical book there. Instead of Instagram being in that prime real estate on your phone's home screen, you put the Kindle app there. Waiting in line at the grocery store, an audiobook is already queued up and ready to go. You just make reading the most obvious, laziest choice. Okay, step 2. Read only what genuinely excites you. And this quote says it all. You have to give yourself permission, aggressive permission, to quit books you aren't loving. If you're 30, 40 pages into a book and it feels like a total slog, just drop it. Life is way too short. Your attention is your most valuable currency, so spend it on things that pull you in, not things you have to push yourself through. Now, step 3 is a fantastic little brain hack. Stop reading when you're in the middle of a really good part. I know it sounds crazy, but it creates this open loop, this little cliffhanger in your mind that makes you want to come back. Then, for step 4, we make it automatic. You attach reading to a habit you already do without even thinking. You don't decide to have your morning coffee, right? You just do it. So from now on, morning coffee equals reading time. A commute is now audiobook time.
You're not trying to create a new habit from scratch, you're just bolting it onto an existing one. So before we get to our last step, step 5 is absolutely crucial. You have to capture ideas immediately. When you read something that sparks a thought, write it down. This is how you turn reading from just passive consumption into an active, creative process. It gives you a real payoff. Now for the last step, which I know might sound a little weird, add more stimulation? Yep. For a brain that's been trained on constant noise, total silence can actually be really jarring and make it easier to get distracted. So a little background noise can act as a bridge, helping you focus.
So what kind of music are we talking about? Well, think of anything that provides a nice, steady texture without grabbing your focus. Things like jazz, lo-fi beats, ambient soundscapes, classical. It all works. But there is one non-negotiable rule. Absolutely no lyrics. Your brain can't process two streams of language at the same time. You just want enough background stimulation to keep that restless part of your brain occupied so the rest of your mind can sink right into the page.
Okay, so you've got the whole system. You see how it works. But the big question is, how do you actually start? To wrap things up, we've got a super simple, very low-stakes protocol you can use to kickstart this entire habit in just a single day. This is it, your one-day game plan. In the morning, you physically change your environment. Put the book out, move the distracting app. During the day, you set a few simple reminders just to snap yourself out of autopilot and become aware of your choices. And then in the evening, you define your why. In that evening step, it's so important. This slide shows exactly what you're doing. You're creating a powerful contrast for yourself. The anti-vision is the future you're trying to steer away from. The vision is the future that's pulling you forward. And look at the difference. It's the difference between outsourcing your thinking to algorithms and actually building a mind that learns, connects ideas, and grows over time. And ultimately, what this entire system does is it creates this amazing self-reinforcing loop. You read something cool, you capture that idea, you use it in a conversation or at work, and then you feel the payoff of being just a little bit sharper. And that feeling, that's what makes you want to read more. It's how you build a new identity quietly, in the background, without any guilt or grand announcements. So let's end on that. This whole thing isn't just about getting through more pages in a book. It's about what you do with the ideas you find inside them. The entire process becomes genuinely addictive when it starts paying you back with real-world value. So the only question left is, what's the first idea you're going to find and capture?